Well, the state health department was actually surprised by this change in guidelines. They didn't find out until we all did yesterday afternoon, but the state health department is still following the CDC's guidelines and says this change was based off science.
The CDC is not just sitting by and watching the science go by. They are actively looking to see where we can make changes based on where the science is moving.
The new recommendations are based on the highly contagious Omicron variant, which is now the dominant variant in the U.S. Studies showed the time of infectivity for this variant is very short, around 5 days. That's why the quarantine time was cut short. If you test positive, you must stay at home for 5 days. If you're not showing any symptoms after that time period, you can leave your house, but must wear a mask for the next 5 days. The same goes to people who were exposed to COVID regardless of their vaccination status. That way you don't spread the virus. But if you got your booster shot or became fully vaccinated within the last 6 months, 2 months if you got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, you don't have to quarantine at all. But you must wear a mask for 10 days after learning you were exposed.
The one thing that this all hinges on, though, is correct and consistent mask use. The recommendations are a little tricky, but you have to make sure that you can wear your mask for the full period. Otherwise, these don't apply.
The CDC says people who were exposed to COVID and can't quarantine can also wear a mask for 10 days. But if you start showing symptoms, stay home and get a test.
All right, Alex, with these new guidelines, should people who were exposed to COVID be worried about getting tested?
Well, Nicole, the CDC does recommend a test for people after their 5 quarantine days, but it's not really necessary. It's just really to make sure that people aren't spreading the virus more than they may have in the past. But like I mentioned, not required, not necessary, just to keep the spread. And it's especially true here now because tests are so difficult to find at this time, long wait lines. But health officials still stressing you make sure you wear that mask after your 5-day quarantine period. Reporting live in Huntsville, Alex Torres Perez, WAY 31 News.